Hi, I'm Laurie Starling. I'm going to take you on a virtual tour of my digital portfolio and blog. I've updated my digital portfolio recently. I created this last semester through my EdTech 5103 class, which was Advanced Computing Applications and Education. When you come to the digital portfolio for the first time, this is the opening page, Teaching with Technology. And I have an About section, a resume. This semester I added a comments and questions section because this type of site doesn't allow you to post comments. So in order to get comments and things like that for the website, I posted this Google form. I also took my library networks and database class this semester, and so I posted some of the coursework that I've done in there, along with updating some of my other courses in the Educational Technology and Library Media program. So this semester in digital media production, we created a blog, and I posted a link in my digital portfolio. So we'll go look at that blog now and look at some of the things that I've created this semester. So this was the About Me page. I had created this digital flyer last semester in one of the classes, and so I just went ahead and figured it was the best way to explain who I am, and so I included that. When I first started working on the blog, I wasn't treating it like a regular blog where you post a post every time, and I haven't really been treating it like a way to express my thoughts. Although after seeing some of my classmates do that and how cathartic it seemed to be for them, I thought maybe I should have been doing that, but I never took it that way. I just used it as a way to showcase some of the things that we were doing. So one of the things that we needed to do was try our hand at a digital video game. I teach English language arts, so I'm not sure that I will try to create a digital video game, even though this place through Scratch, or the website Scratch, walked you through all the steps. It still seemed like it was a lot more detailed than I normally want to get. But it was interesting to see how much goes into it, even with something that's already kind of pre-formulated for you. So the next thing that I did was create an animated instructional video, and we had recently been doing literature circles with my students. We were actually finishing those up whenever this section came, or this lesson came up, but I decided to do an animated instructional video on my expectations for literature circles because some of my students seem to have a little bit of trouble understanding what they're supposed to be doing when they get in their groups. So I'm hoping that next year, whenever I do literature circles, that having the literature circle expectations will help my students be better equipped to understand what the groups do. And then our next assignment was to create a digital story. I've actually done this several times. My students create book trailers regularly, well, every year, for books that they've read in my class or read on their own. And so I really love Animoto. I think it's a great way to tell a story. It's super engaging, and you really feel proud of your product after you've finished it. I guess I've kind of gone a little bit backwards here. I'm sorry. One of the first things that we talked about was our experience with digital media production, and one of the things that I was most proud of at that time was that I had created a Powtoon to explain the ACE writing format, which is just a method to write paragraphs. And so I was expressing that I was most proud of that, and that my digital media production hadn't gone very much farther outside of that. And then from that point, I had decided that I better start posting them as blog posts. So I began posting my posts in a way that a normal blog is set up. So our next assignment was to create a micro lecture, which is just a short video or a mini lesson, so that you can cover a topic in a short chunk. So I decided, since we had just written research papers, or not research papers, for an 8th grade class, we were writing essays, and so I decided to do a micro lecture on thesis statements. And so the next things that we create, or that I created here, was we had a choice to do an augmented reality lesson, or a lesson using QR codes to enhance the learning. And so I had decided to do a visual literacy lesson with QR codes. My librarian and I had a conversation about iconic photos, and so she had shown me that she had some books in the library about certain iconic photos that many of us are familiar with, and so I decided to do a QR lesson that incorporated those books, as well as videos for behind the scenes information about the photos or the time period, helping the students understand the images better, and then give the students discussion questions about the images. So I am really excited about using this lesson with my students, because I think they're going to really enjoy it, because it's dealing with pictures and using technology in a different way than we normally do in class. Our next thing to do was to learn more about a 21st century technology. So I chose to learn about Makerspace, and in the future, in a position that I hope to be in as a library and media specialist, I hope to include a Makerspace in my library, which is really just an area for students to express themselves creatively. And it can start with something as small as a bunch of Legos, where students just play and create and just get in touch with their creative side. And it can get as big as using computer products to build computer type things. And I'm not sure, we have a pretty large STEM program at my school, so I'm not sure that I'll ever go that way, but I feel like if I can tap into some of those, or reach some of those students that aren't really connected with STEM, that would be a really great space to have in my library. And then we created a podcast. There wasn't a video, but I was trying to post the link here. But if you click on this link right here, it will give you the podcast to the Makerspace. Then the next thing that I created was a geospatial annotation, and I chose to do it for the book The Outsiders, because we were about to read that in class. And last year we took a tour in Tulsa over the places that were incorporated in the movie, and S.E. Hinton's high school and things like that. And so we weren't able to take the tour this year, so I decided that we would create a virtual tour. So if you click on this link right here, it will take you to a virtual tour of Tulsa and all the locations that were included in the book or movie. And then the last thing that I've done is I decided to create something that used QR codes again, but also incorporated a game. And even though the game isn't a digital game, I have done other educational, in my other ed tech classes, we have talked about using games in the classroom, and that's an area where I feel like I struggle because I teach English. And there's not a lot of games besides Kahoot for ELA. So I decided to create a spin on an escape room, and using QR codes, and also help students distinguish between fake news and real news. So they will have had a previous lesson on determining reliable sources and evaluating websites. And then we will use that lesson that we had the previous day to play a game called the Escape Room, where students will answer a series of questions about a website or a news article online that they will have scanned a QR code for. And then once they have answered those questions, if they get them right, they'll receive a number, and the numbers will be mixed up, but those will go to a lock, and then they can, once with their partner, they can work to figure out the lock code, and inside the lock will be attached to a box, and then that box will open. If they get the lock open, then they can get a prize. So anyway, I'm hoping that the prize motivates them to really take the activity seriously, and then the QR codes will just be a different way to incorporate the technology. So I've had a really great semester. I am amazed when I look back over my digital portfolio how much my work I feel like has improved. So I have 4 classes left, and I have really loved being in all these classes with Dr. Asino, and I think that this is my last class with him. So I'm kind of sad about that because I feel like I've learned so much. So I hope you guys have had as great of a semester as I have, and I'm sure I'll see you guys in my classes in the fall. So thank you.